So again, tonight we are presenting the public meeting for a proposed nursery-hatchery site. It would be N-0007 in Keller Bay, which is in Matagorda Bay. The purpose of these public hearing is to provide information about the proposed cultivated oyster mariculture nursery-hatchery site in the Matagorda system, answer questions about this proposed sites, and give instructions on how to submit public comment. Some mariculture background. The TPWD permits the activity of cultivated oyster mariculture. I will commonly abbreviate that as COM throughout the presentation. So we permit the activity at either grow out sites, often called farms, or nursery hatchery facilities. All mariculture is required to be off bottom. Applicants nominate their own sites and, if required, conduct a natural resource survey. And the permit is for a 10-year term. Only the eastern oyster, C. virginicus, from Texas broodstock can be cultivated in the sites. An annual fee is paid based on the size of the site, and they must also get authorizations from other agencies such as the Texas General Land Office, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Army Corps of Engineers, and the U.S. Coast Guard. So since this is a proposed nursery hatchery site, here are some commonly used systems that you may see in nursery hatcheries. There are upwelling system, bottle nurseries. Is where these young larvae and very small oysters are suspended in various either bins or circular silos, or in this is an example of a bottle nursery, and the oysters are in there and the water flows up, or in floating apparatuses, docks that have those bins. You will also see if there's a hatchery portion, held broodstock, held in separate facilities, and algal culture to feed those different young baby oysters. Also, here I was talking about water classifications. So water classifications are determined by the Texas Department of State Health Services. These who sample bodies of water in Texas for various contaminants, not just those that may be in oysters, but all kinds of contaminants. And based on those samples, the Department of Health classifies water bodies for harvest of molluscan shellfish. So if we talk about a water body being approved or restricted, that only pertains to the harvest of shellfish, molluscan shellfish, in this case, oysters. TPWD does not, or those classifications do not have any impacts on access to the water bodies or recreations in the water body. TPWD is not involved in the water classification, and to find out more information on that, you can visit the Texas Department of State Health Service website, and specifically their Seafood and Aquatic Life group. So the proposed site N-0007 is a nursery hatchery site. It is located off of Keller Bay in the Matagorda Bay system. It is in restricted waters, which is allowed for a nursery hatchery, not for a grow out site. It is 2.64 acres total. 0.24 of that in public water and 2.4 on private land. So this kind of gives you an example of a vicinity map. It's again in between the Matagorda, Calhoun County. I'm actually in Calhoun County, off of Matagorda Bay, and then off up in Keller Bay, up the tributary into Keller Bay. And here's a more zoomed in location. It's located near, there's Olivia Municipal Park in this area with a boat ramp there. Here's again, a closer look. So yeah, there's Olivia and there's a bait house above the area. This gives the outline of the proposed site or the area that they want to permit for this site. So the outline, there's a dug-in kind of boat marina and a dock there. So this would be access from that private property. The actual nursery portion would be in that dredge marina boat docking area. However, there's not currently boats docked there, nor do they intend to use it as a marina per se. There may be only one boat, their skiff, expected to dock in that area. The gear they propose are floating upweller systems, also abbreviated and called flupsies. So each unit it's going to be these kind of looks almost like a floating dock, 8 by 20 feet, 8 feet by 20 feet. They can put up to 6 in the whole marina area, but kind of plan to start with 3. Those would be attached to an existing dock within the site. And kind of in this diagram, you can see where they sit down in the water flows up, and then there's a middle trough. So the water flows, there's screening on the bottom, the water comes up those screening, and then they outflow kind of into a middle trough area. Contained within that middle trough area, a small propeller, often called ice eater. Motors are within that trough to kind of facilitate movement through the trough and out. And again, those there's screening on those outlets and inlets there, so oysters reduce the chance of those escaping. And just to go back to this, after talking about that, of the whole highlighted area, the aquatic area here, and there's an existing dock along that area that they propose to attach those floating upwellers to. Oyster seed that they will hold there, Texas broodstock parentage. They will follow any disease testing requirements prior to bringing oyster seed in, and it will be moved out before reaching 1 inch in length. They do not plan to spawn broodstock. However, if they are holding broodstock, such as having gathered some to send off to a hatchery, that would be held in a separate from the seed. Bird deterrence will be that those flupsies have decking over all of the silos to keep birds out or feces from getting in, and gear will be removed and cleaned on land as needed. Say the natural resource survey was not required for this, since the area that they would be using contained in that previously dredged marina, nor did we see on any of our mapping or experience in the area that there were seagrass or oyster beds nearby, and they did not have any outlet of like a facility with a drainage outlet going into the water. So the next step for this proposed site is we will be considering public comments. So if you would like to make public comment about the site, the deadline is March the 6th, 2025, and that's in 2 weeks from tonight. You would submit that public comment to oyster.mariculture@tpwd.texas.gov. Once public comment is considered, and if there are no changes that need to be made, a conditional permit is issued. They cannot begin the mariculture activity with that conditional permit. They must gather other agency authorizations, come back to TPWD showing that they'd gathered those authorizations before a final permit can be submitted. Our final permit can be issued, and then mariculture activity can begin. So if you have any questions tonight, you go ahead and put those in the Q&A box, and I will give a few minutes for people to type, or I'll give a minute or so. So if you have those questions, you can type it in the box. And I'm going to go ahead and put up this screen that again has the email address, oyster.mariculture, and also you can see a shortened link to get to the Texas Cultivated Oyster Mariculture TPWD website to find out more information about mariculture in general. All right, and we'll just give a minute to see if anybody has questions. Okay, I am not seeing any questions, but again, if you have any questions, you can submit those questions to the Oyster Mariculture email, and we're happy to answer any questions you have if you think of those later, or you're watching a recording of this, and I can answer those questions as well as you can submit your public comment to that email address. I will hand it back over to you, Holly, for the final words.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said earlier, just wanted to remind y'all that you will be getting an email tomorrow with that email address and with a link to our YouTube channel where the recording of this webinar is going to be posted. Give us about 24 hours or so to get it made public, and so it should be up tomorrow. And yeah, that's everything that we have. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you to our Parks and Wildlife staff that are online, and we'll see everyone next time. Bye, everyone.